Here we are then on the gates for Moto 1 for the MX1 class. The 450 group then here in Argentina for the round 1 of the MXBGP 2024 season. Here we go then. Around that first line we come. A couple of bikes taking a wide line entry. Just kind of taking out half the field there. Not entirely sure what the purpose behind that was. JB on the Ace Moto team though leads the race off the whole shot line, but it's going to be Tyler J and Skills battling out for the racing lead here as we come into the start of our night. Skills then on the Valorix HSM at Gas, absolutely storming. Tyler J really close behind here. Steiner down the inside though on the Ace Moto KTM, trying to make something work. Can he squeeze his bike through? Looks like Tyler J might be able to outdrive him through this section, but Steiner's going to have that really nice outside line to get a good drive through these waves. Just kind of messed up the whole like speaking shenanigans, but Matteo has managed to find his way past TJ as well, and a couple of bikes as well do this through that section. Not entirely sure how that happened. Steiner versus Hakon seems to be the battle between P2 though. Very tight stuff indeed. No, Skills is actually back through the field, so Hakon could be leading the race. Never mind, it is Matteo then on the LMC KTM. A fantastic start for him. A good half a second gap here between himself and Hakon on the Ace Moto KTM. Not sure who that was going down, unfortunately. We've accidentally clipped on with the other bikes. God damn it. Come on, Brain. Why can't I see any of these bikes? What's going on? Very confused as what's going on there, but here we are. We're back. TCSC, how we get on, man? How we get on? Try full shot. Unfortunately not. It was JB on the Ace Moto KTM, but it's actually a pretty tough little race so far. Matteo then leads the moto ahead of the rest of the field here. Hakon on the Ace Moto team nipping at his heels though on that very angry looking KTM behind. We've got the Gas of Skills there whipping his way over the finish jump. A little bit of a case there, losing some time then to the P1 and 2 bikes. It's going to have to be making that up a little later on in the race. We're going to have a look back up with the leaders shortly, but for now JB versus TJ it seems to be the situation we're at. Tyler J then around the outside on the MXB Mods Honda, KTM, sorry. Having a very nice time. I thought it was Honda because it was the lighting made it look red. Anyways, back to the racing lead as we go. Hakon currently still P2, just behind Matteo, but Matteo's run a very wide line there. Hakon then going to be able to close that gap up as close as possible here. Gets a very nice rut through the inside there, and he's going to get his way past the racing leader here shortly if Matteo doesn't get his head back on. There it is, a very, very nice scrub. Absolutely beautiful pass into that inside line. Very, very textbook stuff there from the Ace Moto KTM. That's exactly where he wants to be. Up and over that valley jump we come then. And he goes on to lead the race once again here tonight. Roughly half a second here though between the two leading bikes, and Skills nipping at their heels, really starting to close that gap up between the two leaders. So it's going to be interesting to see what sort of situation we get developing here. A big old triple to the outside there from Matteo. Very nice stuff though. Hakon seems to have taken advantage of that and opened the gap up pretty nicely there. Skills trying to close his way in onto the back here for that P3 spot for now. Tyler J versus JB versus Dill Pickle is a three-way battle for P4 here at the moment. Tyler J leading this small pack. Dill Pickle currently in the P5 spot down the inside. Can he get a position done past JB? Doesn't look like it's going to get secured just yet, but he actually does manage to hold on to it. Very, very nice dive indeed. Why is the Gas logo white? Because it would be very confusing if it was red, because the Honda one is red. So it's just to make it easy to see which is which. That's all that is. And it looks like Skills has lost a fair bit of time here. Tyler J then closing in onto the background there, having a bit of a teleportation session by the looks of things. Not entirely sure what's going on there on his end. Fingers crossed doesn't cause any collisions between any of the top end riders. That would be pretty disastrous to see. Skills are holding on. It's still currently in that P3 spot. A big gap now though between Hakon and Matteo and the P3 bike here on the Gas. Going to be a very difficult situation indeed. Honda, exactly. Honda is red. Gas would need to be something else. So it was just white to make it easy. And then like the grey is the Husqvarna, like Hurls' Ace Moto Husky here. Absolutely storming along, trying to find his way up through the field. Unfortunately, he's down in P11 and has got a lot of work to do. So hopefully we see him climb up here throughout our 30-minute moto. It's going to be a tough one to see. Hopefully he can pull it off. Do you know who's streaming hours later? It's me, Cry. It's me. Big W's indeed. Alrighty then, Hakon still leading the moto ahead of Matteo. The LMC KTM still trying to find his way into the background there. He's definitely doing a nice job of holding onto the back of Hakon here. He's just waiting for mistakes, but no, he's gone over the bars. Absolute disaster there for Matteo. Skills then closes that gap right back up, and the battle for P2 is officially on once again here. A little bit of a case over that finish jump. Skills just underestimating the length on that table there. Definitely got to start getting his judgment a little bit right. He's losing roughly a couple of tenths of a second there at least. A big crash over Matteo as he feels the pressure here of the gas closing into the background. Skills there will take advantage and punish that mistake. Up into P2 he goes, JB to P3, and it looks like Linz is closing up through the field here. Linz off to a pretty poor start as well. Got into the mid-pack very early on, involved in some early race collisions, I believe. And thankfully for him, he's moved his way all the way up now through that field into, I believe, the P5 spot here, just behind Matteo. We've got Tyler J nipping at his heels. Linz goes down and over the bars. Tyler J then will take P5 back from the Suzuki rider. And Linz has got to get his head back screwed on and get that throttle twisted open to try and catch up with these leading bikes. Hakon, though, is very happy rider indeed. He's leading the... why can't I see them when they go over there? It's very strange. Anyways. I do see when they do over here. It's a slightly missing zone on the cameras, unfortunately, but there we are. Oscar here versus Dill Pickle seems to have a nice little battle in the fight for P7 at the moment. Definitely the two the KTM scrapping it out here. The MXB Mods one down to the inside, and Illusion Racing goes to the outside. Big table over. Looking like he's got that position done nice and secure. Back up with the racing leaders then as they come back into the camera view. Hakon is having a very comfortable lead. Looks like he's got roughly a second's worth of penalties though, if the timing gate is to be believed. We'll see how it updates as we come over the finish line here. Across that finish jump, Hakon absolutely greasing it. Skills, a tiny bit of a case still, not quite got the drive over it that he needs, or perhaps scrubbing off just a little bit too much speed. Let's see if he can try and pick that up a little bit later on towards the end of the night again. But you can see immediately, once again, that gap just opens right back up. I don't think Hakon does actually have penalties. I think the gap standing on the board is actually correct. Matteo here actually closing back up with the leading two bikes now at the moment to try and catch back up to the P2 spot, potentially re-secure that, and maybe, just maybe, go on for that potential race win. Tyler J and JB seeming to be having a nice little battle here. Tyler J found his way past then on the MXB Mods KTM. That's exactly where he wants to be. Nice and tight down to the inside and keeping things smooth. We'll check in back then with Linz on the FXR G Fuel Suzuki. Having a nice little time through the waves there. A little bit of a case, but hold on to the bike regardless. Am I streaming 250 as well? I will be. Unfortunately, because it's a Monday, 250 and 450 run at the same time riding. So basically I do Moto 1 of one and Moto 2 of the other, and I switch it each week. So this week we're doing 450 Moto 1 and 250 Moto 2. Next week we'll do 250 Moto 1 and 450 Moto 2. And all of that jazz. Basically, when it gets more intense later in the season, we'll potentially look at starting to run some staggered races. But it's just to be mindful of the time, considering it's a Monday night, basically. It does mean that we miss a little bit of the racing action, but it is what it is. Here we are then. Hakon leading ahead of Skills, but Skills is all over their heels now of this Ace Moto KTM. The Valorx HSM Gas really starting to close in now, and there you go. That's that finish dialed in. That should be him sorted for the rest of the race, at least on that jump, hopefully. And see if he can dial his head back in. But it looks like that gap now between himself and Hakon does open up a reasonable bit here at the start of the lap regardless. It does look like Hakon has a very nice line through this first sector, and does open up a good half a second or so between himself and the gas behind. Why hell's no number one? Actually, not sure, you know. Actually, not sure. Because no one else is running it. I believe he's got a number one plate on, though. Yeah, he does. So it's just because he probably hasn't changed it on the thing. No biggie, though. No biggie. Still running his number one plate. Unfortunately, down in P8, he's got a little bit of work to go before he can climb up to the rest of the field here. We've got Dill Pickle just in front by the looks of things. Does that mean he's found his way past Linz? Don't think so. No, it looks like he's still behind. Looks like Dill Pickle's suffering with some penalties and Linz is actually ahead of him on the track. Or the other way around, Linz is suffering with some penalties. Regardless though, we're checking back up with the racing leaders because look at this! Out of nowhere, the gas right on the back of the Ace Moto KTM. Really starting to put some pressure on now, and Skills is trying to open these waves up, but gets a little bit rough through them. He holds onto a decent speed though and keeps the gap between himself and Hakon tight, but unfortunately just a little bit of an over scrub sees him way over the bars. A very unfortunate situation. Tyler J then rounds to the outside and JB will attempt the same to try and secure their positions past the Valor rider. Can Skills hold them off though? It's going to be very difficult, and it looks like JB's got the drive to find his way around the outside then of Skills. Skills then back down to looking at the back of these exhausts and has to find another option later on in the race and not keep doing that. That is not what you want to do, Skills. Deary me. Hopefully he gets his head back together and settles back into the moto here. Hurls though starting to make up some serious time now and some serious positions as well. All the way in front of Matteo now. Is holding on to, I believe, the P6 spot on the track. Very nicely done indeed. Checking back in with Hakon though, he is breathing very, very nicely. He's got a very comfortable gap behind him. Not too much, he can't really make many mistakes, but at least he hasn't got that really severe pressure of losing that position just yet. Not like Tyler J, who still has to worry about JB just behind there on the Ace Motobike. JB's been putting on some really serious pressure here all night. A couple of minor mistakes have seen him losing some positions, but nothing major, and he's always managed to climb his way back up. So it'll be interesting to see their lap times a little later on. Skills railing that route there just ahead of the Valor jump, looking nice and smooth as well. We'll check back in with Linz here. He's just ahead of Skills still, holding on for that P4 position on the track, P5 on the leaderboard. So it looks like Linz is holding on to a tiny bit of penalties, or it just hasn't updated yet. I think the 1 second penalty is possibly slightly more likely. There's a couple of insides that you can obviously get a little bit too close to tight on. And obviously sometimes a crash may lead to penalties too. Skills just getting a little bit too hairy over that Valor double. It's really, really sketchy there, so he's got to dial that back just a little bit. I think the lip's catching off guard a tiny, tiny bit there, but Linz is making it look very, very nicely here. That Suzuki just absolutely storming. Very, very solid bike if you can get it dialed in right. Absolutely planted. It will be chilling throughout the majority of the moto. And as a result, Linz stays typically pretty consistent. Fingers crossed the commentator's curse doesn't immediately strike. But you can usually stay reasonably consistent. A lot of that is obviously due to just sheer experience in the game. But I think a lot of it can be given to that bike as well. It's just very, very stable. I find it difficult to go fast on the Suzuki. But it looks like if you can tame it, my goodness me, it works really well. Anyways, Skills versus Linz here. An absolutely megalithic battle then between these riders. The gas just getting ever so wobbly there. Linz then will hold on to his position for the moment. Skills though looking to try and find any opportunity, any sign of an open door here between himself and the Suzuki in front. The FXR bike goes a little wide. Skills then will take that inside line and try and catch up just a little bit more time. Does so. Roughly a bike length or two between them at the moment. Really not tight in it, or not a lot in it, sorry. How are we getting on, Goobs? I know, a fantastic battle between these two riders. Looks like Skills here on the gas bike is going to squeeze his way down the inside line. Just can't quite take the opportunity though. Linz manages to cut back onto the defensive and holds on to his position. Very, very nice demonstration of racecraft there. It's not 40-man gates, right? I don't believe so. I think it's 35. I think the gates are capable of 40. But I believe we were on 35 for a reason I'm not sure. Could be because it's the real life numbers. It could be because it helps the servers. I think it's because it helps the servers, honestly. Anyways, Skills vs Linz still going on here in the fight for now P3 by the looks of things. After Tyler J seems to be holding on to some pretty nasty penalties, roughly 2 to 3 seconds of penalties then for the MXB Mods KTM. It's not what he wants to be seeing at this point in the moto. There's still 17 minutes on the clock, plenty of time for the risk of making more mistakes. And we definitely don't want to be doing that anytime soon. Linz and Skills though, really looking to try and put some pressure into that podium position bike now and get their place, rightfully so, on the track in P3. Let's see if we can get it done here. JB's lost a position there to Tyler J. So JB down to the P3 on the track. Tyler J up to P2 on the track, but still holding down in the field due to the penalties. Interesting that Linz runs it wide on that section there. I don't know why he doesn't cut round to the inside. Maybe he just doesn't feel comfortable. Maybe he just ran a little bit too much speed into that particular corner at that particular moment. But it looks like Skills will find his way down the inside there on the uphill downhill turn on the Valux HSM Gascats. Very nicely done indeed. Linzo has an answer immediately. He's coming straight back here and almost gets the front wheel side Skills there, but not quite enough to open up a gap just yet. Blake Fisher with the subscription. Thank you very much. Skills has unfortunately died. No, not Skills. Linz has unfortunately died. My apologies for the miscommunication. A big crash there for Linz. He gets back up and back on the track reasonably quickly, but not before he loses the position to, I believe, Matteo there, who was not far behind at all. Not the curse, the commentator's curse. It strikes again. Hakon here on the Ace Moto bike, our leading bike in this race, having a fantastic time on the KTM. He's very, very dialed in on that Ace Moto bike. Very, very dialed in. You can see he's feeling incredibly comfortable on the circuit here tonight. I'm sure his second moto will go pretty nicely too. Fingers crossed he's got the endurance here to keep up with this pace at for the remaining 15.5 minutes on the clock. That is the biggest thing here in the MXBGP races. A 30-minute timer is a very, very long moto. And it does cause some mental fatigue towards the closing stages, so we'll see how it goes. What does 12th place get? I'm not 100% sure how what the motocross points are for MXGP. I need to do a little bit of reading up. I should have done that in hindsight, really. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what positions get at what points, just because I'm not 100% familiar with it. But I will find out for next week, though, regardless. Anyways, off of Hack-On for a moment here as we look at JB versus Skills. The now battle for P2 as the Gas Rider starts to get his head screwed on and gets that bike settled back down into the race very, very nicely indeed. JB, though, on the Ace motorbike, keeping really, really smooth through the waves there, fending off from the Gas behind, and the KTM will continue to hold on to that P2 position. Skills, though, really, really likes that inside line. I'm not sure if it is actually faster. It kind of looks like it could be just a little bit faster. Just a little bit, maybe a couple of tenths. It looks like it's enough, though, to close that gap up when he needs it to be closed. Go on, Jezza. We'll see how he's getting on. He's currently P11. We'll check in with him shortly. His skills currently on the back of JB. The more important battle to watch at the moment, of course, in the fight for P2. Very nice stuff, though, from both. JB keeping an incredibly stable bike here. Whoever does that Ace Motor suspension is clearly doing a very nice job of it. Very nice stuff indeed, yeah. Tyler J looking pretty smooth here as well on the MXB mods bike. Keeping himself steady for the most part. Definitely made a few crucial mistakes that he needs to try and continue to recover from. He's doing pretty well though so far, holding on for the P3 on the timing board. Skills looks like he's lost a position there due to a pretty big crash, I would imagine. Certainly not ideal. Certainly not ideal. We'll check in with your buddy Jez, shall we? How is he getting on the privateer KTM? He's got a bit of clean air. We'll give him a few 10 seconds or so on the screen just for shits and gigs. Around Ken's we go. Down the inside of the Ace Moto crashed KTM. That's a cheeky little position for Jez. Then up and into P10 we go for the privateer KTM. Very nicely done indeed. And it looks like that's... is that Cam just up in front? I believe it is. Believe it is, so he could be holding on to a potentially some pretty spicy positions here. Some pretty spicy positions. We'll see. We'll check back in with him a little later on. He's got a decent gap here to Cam for now, and we'll see how he stacks up. Looks like Hack-On, though, has lost a position P1 down to P2 now. Then as JB clutches the racing lead from his teammate. Hack-On then presumably only can be assumed to have had a pretty disastrous crash then here for the Ace Moto KTM rider. Certainly not ideal at all. JB, though, was there to seize the moment and take the racing lead from his teammate so as to not fall in to Tyler J's hands. Tyler J just a little bit too far back to try and seize that opportunity just yet. We'll see if he can close some things up. I'm going to stop watching him for a moment, though, because he does have that weird network buggy, glitchy thing. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. I think he's just got a pretty high ping tonight, I would imagine. Casper with the follow. Let's go. Skills here, keeping nice and stable. We'll check back in with some battles. What can we find here? Matteo here, leading just ahead of... Who is that? Most Patrol. I believe that's a lap down bike, unfortunately. Just having a tough time, as is Maverick. Linz just rejoins the track here on the FXR Suzuki. I wonder what happened to him. He's losing some time here. A little bit less consistent this week than we assumed he would be. Very nice run to the outside there, though. I like that line a lot. I do think the outside to inside cut through is the preferred line. I think it's ever so slightly faster. The outside here definitely seems to be nicer. Coming back up over this table, we're going to try and hug that inside as much as possible if we can believe most of the other bikes, because that inside gives you the triple, and if you triple across to the inside you can have a very tight little line there. But he's gone to the outside because he knew there was a rider down to the inside, didn't want to risk avoiding that, and it looks like he actually really likes that outside to inside through the rollers there. Interesting to see. An unfortunate crash there for the lapdown KTM off to the side of the screen. Tragedy. But just back on. We'll check him out in a moment. Got to check on with the racing leaders, though. JB versus Hack-On in the fight for P1. The two Ace Moto teammates scrapping it out now for that top spot here on the field. They've got a decent bit of gap between them, or behind them, sorry, between themselves and P3. So they've definitely got a little bit of time here to play around with each other, have a little bit of a battle, and sort of test each other's limits just a little bit. But now we'll be keeping on with the battle for P1 until the gap opens up past what we can see. Hack-On, though, what a move! Saw the opportunity down the inside, absolutely seized the moment there, scrubs his way down to the inside here. JB going for the hard drive on the outside, now to the inside, can't quite get the position done though as Hack-On takes the same line. And he's just not going to find an overtaking opportunity just yet, but he's very, very close. Hack-On makes any mistakes, and JB is going to be absolutely all over it here. Both bikes, a little check up there over the rolling hill, is what I'll call it. I don't really know the technical name for the for the obstacle. JB, though, looking incredibly smooth in comparison to Hakon there through that particular section. Unfortunately, he runs it wide through those waves and loses a fair bit of time. Hakon, though, loses his front wheel, which is arguably worse than some time, and does go down, losing both his tyre and time. Down into the P2 spot he goes then. JB will hold on to the P1 spot. Matteo, though, currently P3, closing into the P2 position here. Could be looking at a cheeky little podium battle here shortly. We'll have a quick look at Jez, see how he's getting on. He's got a three-way fight going on. Looks like he's getting past the lap down bike, and Chase is for position. So Chase versus Jez is actually a positional battle. We'll check in with them in a moment. I want to keep an eye on the P2 fight, though, between Tyler J and Hakon. No, Matteo and Hakon, sorry. Tyler J's a little further back, but he's ahead due to penalties. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. In fact, no, he's not. I tell a lie. Tyler J's up into P2. What happened to Hakon and Matteo? He must have had a pretty disastrous moment there, but regardless. JB leads. Tyler J then in the P2 spot. Hakon for P3. Skills and Linz really not far behind. Side by side here between the Valorous HSM Gas and the FXR G Fuel Suzuki. Linz then just slots in behind for now, waiting for that opportunity to strike. You can see him here. Big send down to the inside we go. Look for those nice tight lines as we come through the waves here. Very nice stuff indeed. You can see he keeps that gap incredibly tight. And the inside line we go now then on that FXR Suzuki. Can he close his way in? It's going to be a very, very tight squeeze indeed. Snorik, if we can keep the chat to English, please and thanks, that'd be much appreciated. Just because it's the only language I can moderate. Thank you very much. Hell yeah. Welcome in, though. Hopefully you're having a nice time. Skills then looks like he is opening up a little bit of a gap here between himself and between himself and Linz. And I'm sure Linz will try and find an opportunity a little bit later on. You can see him kind of reading Skills' lines here, and as a result, taking advantage of them and closing up when he can make it work. But this is what we say about the pro riders. They have a lot of experience in these kind of situations and scenarios. And all that's going through either of those riders' heads at the minute is, what is he doing to go as fast as me, and what can I do to go faster than him? You can see each of them trying to dive on, try and find every little inch of space they can here on the track to optimise their racing lines as best as possible here. Skills tries to tuck his way around the outside there, gets his way back down the inside. Linz goes for the hard outside rail. Both keep a fantastic speed, to be fair. A little bit of time goes to Linz, though, here over these scrubby W hills. I'm not really sure what I should really call them. Here we are. Down the inside for Linz then. Can he find a position onto the back of Skills here? It's going to be a very, very tough one to find. We'll check in with him shortly, I think. We'll give him a little bit of a moment to find an opportunity. For now, though, Tyler J is having glitchy things happen. Hakon seems to be back up towards the those podium positions. I'm not sure he's in the P2 spot just yet. It looks like he's still got a long way to go before he catches up with Tyler J. So we'll see if he can pull that one off. So Jez, we'll check him in just a moment, don't you worry. I want to have a check back in with Linz versus Skills. It looks like, did he find his way through? He did! Linz found his way back past Skills and opened up a equally large gap between the riders, and Skills had ahead of Linz just a few moments ago. Interesting to see. I wonder if anyone's holding on to some penalties. We'll see as we come over some next timing gates here soon. Very, very nice and smooth though. Brockwell show Jez soon, don't you worry. He'll be there, he'll be there. Look, he's chilling on his own at the minute. He's got Chase there down, so Chase is going to lose a position. Jez gets a position. Boom. Professional. That's your Jez dose for now. We'll check back in with him later. Hell yeah. Alrighty, Hakon versus Matteo in the battle for the podium position here. This is the fight for P3 on the board at the moment. The LMC KTM versus the Ace Motobike, desperately trying to scramble his way ahead and hold on to that very, very precious podium position. Matteo then tries to cut down the inside line, tries to show him a front wheel, can't quite get the drive to do it though, and he's going to have to settle in for behind the Ace Moto KTM for the moment. Hakon then hard on the defensive here as Matteo starts to try and drive the aggressive lines home. Can he find an opportunity to find his way past? Hakon's going to be really, really starting to feel some pressure mounting now, though. A little bit of gap opens up between them as he comes through that corner, though, as Matteo just messes up a tiny, tiny bit. Just a tiny bit, enough to make some stickeroonies. A big battle coming up in front of these guys here at the moment. We're coming up on some lap-down blue flag bikes, and it's going to be interesting to see how these guys deal with the racing leaders coming through. Hopefully we do abide by our blue flag rules. It looks like the majority try and stay to the outside. One bike went down to the inside there. Frankelek giving way to Hakon here, which is always what we want to see. Thankfully, Hakon doesn't have to interrupt these guys' race any more than he needs to do so to get past. Unfortunately, a huge crash, and he does collect the Husqvarna. The commentator's curse strikes once again. An unfortunate situation there for both Hakon and Portman. Definitely not what either rider wanted there. Checking back in with JB on the Ace Moto KTM. He is really starting to get cooking now. 3.5 seconds ahead of P2. And he is very, very comfortable. Wait, what? Hang on, I just saw Tyler J in front of him. Hold on a second. Tyler J is in front, so he must be P1 on the field now. Unfortunately, the timing tree hasn't updated, or Tyler J is holding us some pretty significant penalties. So we shall see how that continues to update throughout the rest of the night. Still 4.5 minutes on the clock, still plenty of racing to go, and it could still be anyone's game for the racing lead here. JB, though, it looks like Tyler's got some really serious penalties here. Definitely interesting to see, to say the least. Fatty Matty getting past there, unfortunately. Go on, Matty. Keep it together, boy. You want to go back to Dev? We'll have a look at Jez again. We'll have a look at him. Where is he? How's he doing? The Privateer KTM rider. Having a pretty nice time here so far. Chase has found his way back past, though, and up into the P9 spot. So Jez has got to try and find his way back past here soon. It's going to be a very difficult situation. I've ridden against Chase many, many times, and Chase is a very, very talented rider. He can stay incredibly consistent when he puts his mind to it. So Jez has really got his work cut out for him here at the moment. Can he find his way through, though? That's going to be the real question. A little bit later on, chat goes wild. We'll see. Anyways, back up with some potential battles for the lead here. Looks like JB's lost a fair amount of time here to Tyler J. Could be losing his position here soon. It looks like Tyler J is holding some really, really serious penalties, though. I have to wonder if potentially he did cut the track if he came off at some point and rejoined potentially ahead of where he should have, or if he's just been unfairly penalised. We'll see, I suppose. But either way, an unfortunate situation for Tyler J. He's holding on to a really, really big gap of penalties now, and JB just kind of has to stay close enough, and he could be taking his moto win home. That's always nice to say, isn't it? Checking back in with the field then, we have Matteo holding on and getting his way past some blue flag bikes, as is Hakon catching up to the back of that little pack now. Then it's not too far back here on the number 35 FXR G Fuel Suzuki. Trying to squeeze his way through the field just a little bit here. That's it's not Hells, it's Alpha behind him, sorry. Alpha's lap down. Hells is behind him on the old timing tree though. So we'll see where he is. He's just back here on the Ace Moto Husqvarna. He's having a pretty nice time. He came up through the field pretty nicely here. But unfortunately, I just don't think he's got the overall pace to climb back up onto that podium position here tonight. That's going to be very, very difficult. A 1:30.688 was his best time on the board so far. JB's best time was a 1:31.498. It was definitely close enough. Unfortunately, a huge crash for him. AJ and Matteo find their way through. That's a very, very interesting situation indeed. We'll see how that develops a little bit later on towards the end of the moto, because that's going to cause some things to change. JB then up and into the lead according to that timing tree still, but Tyler J is actually still leading the moto with 30.579 there in the P1 spot, 30.365 here for Matteo. So Matteo can definitely start to catch up to JB. It's going to be a very, very difficult situation though. Just a couple of minutes on the clock here and not a lot of time to actually get that gap closed and then find an opportunity past. Hakon here just behind Linz on the track. It looks like Linz is definitely holding on to a couple of seconds of penalties, which is unfortunate for the Suzuki riders. Not like him to see that. Regardless, though. Oh no, a huge crash, and he collects Hakon. Hakon, though, thankfully does manage to stay on two wheels, keeps that rubber side down and continues on with his race. An unfortunate moment, though, for the FXR rider. Absolute disaster, and the commentator's curse strikes once again. Unfortunate, chat. I know you can see this track doing very, very nicely. Unfortunately, Skill's not so much. He's had a big, big crash. All the way down to P8 he's gone now. Very much not where he wants to find himself, and I'm sure he'll try and close those gaps up for himself in the field a little bit more, but it's been an unfortunate second half of the moto here for Skills. Chase, meanwhile, currently P9, and looking like he might be catching up with the leading bike, which is always nice to see. He might be able to get his way past Skills here soon, get a cheeky little position if Skills makes any more major mistakes. These motos are extremely long. They are indeed, Falcon, and like I say at the start of them, the endurance is absolutely critical around here. The endurance and the consistency is way more important than your overall lap speed at the end of the day. You just have to make sure you keep that bike upright for as long as possible and as fast as possible, and you'll usually Do very, very well in these races. You can see everyone, including the leaders, have been down multiple times. The leaders changed hands more times than I care to remember in this race. It's been a very, very exciting one so far indeed. JB's lost a lot of time here to Tyler J though. Tyler J should be bringing this moto home, provided he doesn't let P2 get close enough to him. He's had a very, very nice comeback rate this and salvage that P1 by the looks of it, provided he can hold on to it for the remaining few laps. Jam says MXB mods on top. We'll see if he can hold on to it. It's going to be a very, very difficult one. But he's got a decent gap. But if JB closes that 5 seconds, he doesn't even have to pass Tyler J. Tyler J is holding on to roughly 6 or 7 seconds of penalties. I believe it's around 6. Which is some, as you know, some significant stuff in this game. So hopefully he can, hopefully for his sake, he can hold on to that P1 spot. Hopefully for our sake, though, we see JB catch up and potentially a little bit of a battle for P1. Let's look at him again. I'll have a look at Chase here. Chase is onto the back of Cam. That's the BCP TM. No, it's a Yamaha, sorry. I don't know why I said TM. I think it's just because the delivery makes it look a little TM-y. Regardless, though, he's managed to find his way past Cam and up into P8. A great full move then for Chase. A huge crash for Cam. An unfortunate situation indeed. Ban 12th? Why are we banning 12th? We're not banning Jez. He's been alright, surely? What's he done, Brog? No, 11th. Oh, you were banned Owen. Owen's usually pretty clean. I haven't seen him do too much bad things. But we shall obviously keep an eye. We've got racing stewards usually in the races as well, keeping an eye on things. Yes, indeed, Rooney. Linz, though, back up into P4. Starting to make a pretty decent bit of a comeback ride here on the FXR Suzuki. Is exactly what he wants to be doing here. Got to be securing some really, really crucial points here for the EU 450 class. Very tasty stuff indeed. He's just trying to get Jez in higher places. He's bad at all. Just have a 30-minute race where it's just Jez. Linzo on to the back of Hakon. This is the battle for P3 on the track. Very, very tight stuff here between the Suzuki and the Ace Moto KTM. Hakon really starting to get into a little bit of trouble here as Linz comes down the inside line. He goes to that slightly faster line. Looks like Hakon gets a good drive here, though. Going to be interesting to see what's going on here. Linz down the inside. Can he get the position done? He can. Holds on to it then between himself and Matteo. Matteo nearly finds his way past Linz. Linz still can't find a way past Hakon, though. Hakon's got a really, really nice run through that previous sector. My goodness me, Linz getting some real pressure here onto the back of the Ace Moto KTM now, though. And the Suzuki is staring down at the barrel of P3. Can he find an opportunity here soon? It's going to be very, very tough indeed. A lot of these guys holding on to a couple of seconds of penalties, and that will change some things towards the end of the moto. For now, though, we are on our final lap, and Linz is going to have to start pushing as hard as possible now. Hakon down to the outside, gets the better drive over that finish jump. He's going to look to land early and get a phenomenal drive through this start straight as we come around the starting turn. Very nice stuff indeed for all 4 of these riders here so far. They're really holding on now. He really, really wants some positions on the board here. Down the inside of Lindsay goes. Can he get that position done and secure? It looks like not quite just yet. He'll see side by side over the cross table. Very, very nice stuff indeed as we come over this next JVGL Designs jump. Very smooth indeed. Linz then down the inside of Matteo trying to snatch that position back, and he does so. A fantastic 4-way battle going on now in the battle for P3 on the track. My goodness me, a huge crash for Linz. He's going to be out of that battle for the remainder of the lap. Hakon then still holds on to his podium position for the moment. Matteo is very, very close behind. We're going to check in with Tyler J. He's getting close towards the end of the lap here, so we'll check in with him very, very shortly and hope we catch him coming across the line. Looking smooth, though, for now. Linz has found his way ahead of Dill Pickle for the moment, but he's obviously holding on to a couple of seconds of penalties, so that's going to cost him some time later on. Matteo, though, trying to find his way down the inside of Hakon. Can't quite get a position done here on the LMC KTM. A very, very tough battle, and unfortunately he's mistimed the waves and clipped the front wheel, collected by Frankelek. A really, really unfortunate situation there for Matteo. Dill Pickle will find his way through, as will Linz on the FXR G Fuel Suzuki. Tyler J, though, comes across the line then in the top spot to take Moto 1 victory here in Argentina for JB for P2. Hakon then should be coming across the line for P3 here, provided he can get across the line. Come on, Hakon, you got this. There you go, there's the finish line. P3 on the board, there you go. P3 then does go to Hakon. Dill Pickle ends up picking up P4 due to penalties from Mateo. Hurls will take P6 and Linz for a P7. An unfortunate end there for the Suzuki. He did have a bit of a choke, which is unfortunate to see, but I'm sure we'll see him pick things up towards the end of the season. Just kill skills? Oh, dearie me. Chase then across the line for P8, and Cam should be bringing it home for P9, barring any major penalties. There we go then across the line, and Ken's for P10 on the Ace Moto bike. Very nicely done indeed. And I can actually see his bike this week because I did it correctly. Owen down the inside, and he's going to be taking it home for the P11 spot. Excuse me. Jez then will come up just behind in P12. Certainly not a bad finish at all, though, for himself. Ben across the line on the MXB Shop Time is in P13. And Fafalito, is that, yeah, Fafalito? That seems about right. On the FRS KTM, having a very nice finish off to his race. Around that hairpin for the final time here tonight. Down this left-hander and across that finish jump in P, whatever we are, 15. Anyways then, so once again, the top 10, Tyler J, JB, Hakon, Dill Pickle, Mateo, Hurls, Linz, Chase, Cam, and Kens all made it through into that top 10. Which is very, very nice stuff indeed. We're going to check in with the fastest laps. The quickest bike on the track at the moment is Mateo with a 130.365, Tyler J with a 130.579, and Hurls with a 130.688. Certainly not separating their gaps by anywhere near as much as I thought it would be. Hakon then in P4 in terms of fastest lap skills with the 5th fastest. Cam with 6th fastest. Linz was struggling a little bit for lap time there with a 130.1.5, but we was seeing him have some trouble with other traffic. And obviously just a little bit of pressure too, you know. It gets to everyone. It gets to everyone. Regardless though, a very nice moto for 450 Moto 1. We're going to be checking in now with 250 Moto 2 is where our next race is going to be. So here we are though. Down go the gates and off we are for 250 Moto 2 here at MXBGP. And I think we might need a red flag for that Dimitri, I can't lie. Or a black flag for the Dimitri, who knows. Regardless though, a pretty decent start to the majority of the field. Splash here on the Solitude Visuals KTM, off to a fantastic start. Exactly where he wants to find himself, super duper early on in the moto. Very nice stuff indeed, but no, I will be keeping an eye out for that rider that just kind of went across everyone. Very, 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 very rude. And honestly, no excuse for it really. Regardless though, Finn currently in the P2 spot then, just behind Splash. The Solitude Visuals then leads the race, as does Finn. And we've got Marshall here in the P3 spot, also on the Solitude Visuals team. Dan White here for TSCZ, whatever it is. Having a nice little time. A little bit of a crossover rock section there, looking very, very nice. And unfortunately, he murders Reaper Doc. Clips the front wheel there as we come across in front of him slightly. An unfortunate moment for the Doc, but I'm sure he'll climb up through the field a little bit later on. Regardless though, checking back on with the rest of the field, Redo having a pretty nice start here in Neon, not too far off as well on the JP Designs KTM. Splash here losing some time and down. A big crash then for Splash, and Finn will go through on the TSCZ KTM. A fantastic start for the night for him, running that number 1, running that big fat red plate and showing everyone why he's doing it. Here we are then, Marshall in that P2 spot then, just ahead of Dan White on the other TSCZ bike. Definitely looking to try and close in a little bit. Dan starting to put some pressure on here. Now we've got Neon just behind as well. Redo certainly slipping into things. Splash a little bit further back through the field than I anticipated he would have dropped, but he's managed to get back up into the top fight and is back on with the rest of the moto. Neon here setting some real pressure here onto the back of Dan. Dan's going to be starting to sweat just a little bit here. Redo onto the back of Neon as well here. The OJR bike could be squeezing his way through. Not quite going to find the opportunity just yet though. Marshall still holding on for P2, still got a gap to P1. Dan White certainly not far behind and could be looking to try and get that P2 position here very, very shortly. Neon though wants his seat on the podium and is trying to squeeze his way into the background there. Oh, hang on, no, sorry, Finn. Finn's still leading. He's having a very nice race. Yeah, anyways. Dan White then currently in the P2 question mark space? Yeah, P2. He just managed to find his way past Marshall there down the inside line. He's going inside again here as Marshall goes to the outside for the better drive. Unfortunately, Dan's blown the corner. Over the bars he goes. Loses P2, 3, 4, even 5, I believe. Very, very rough situation there for Dan. He's going to be having to really try and squeeze some things up. Regardless, Marshall still holding on for that P2 spot. Him versus Neon is the battle to watch. Solitude Visuals versus JP Designs, both on KTMs here, so an equal match here between the two riders. Who's it going to be down this straight? It's going to be side by side as we both take the inside of the split section here. Going down, Neon going super low on the corner. Keeping himself very nice. And both bikes, unfortunately, do make mistakes over the Black Label Company jump, which is certainly not what either rider wanted. And regardless, through goes pretty much the rest of the field. Down white then now up into the P2 spot, I believe. Redo for P3, and here's that Das on the Session MX KTM closing in to the background. Could be squeezing his way up and onto the podium if he finds his way down the inside of Redo here. Throws him the front wheel, can't quite get the bike alongside into this next corner, and then he's going to have to look to switch back underneath up to a tight line. Although, no, never mind, he just goes around the outside because why would he listen to what I say? He's going very, very fast indeed. He's gone off the track there, but thankfully rejoins ahead of the OJR KTM. Very interesting stuff here for Das. I'm not entirely sure how he recovered that moment. Finn here still leads. Das in the P2 spot and Redo for P3. Super duper tight stuff here between the top of the field. We've got Neon down the inside. He makes a move into the podium position. He's now P3. Redo down to P4 then as a result. And Freitas on the try-hard KTM closing into the background there. Could be looking at some cheeky little positions a little later on in the moto. 25 minutes on the clock and still anyone's game as to who's going to get this very, very endurance-y victory. Whatever. Bad words, I'm sorry. Das then has a big, big wobble there for the P2 bike, and Neon's going to be all over it to punish that mistake. Can he get away past? Doesn't look like it. Looks like Das has solidified his position once again here. Settled that bike down and getting that rhythm back under control. Unfortunately, the commentator's curse strikes immediately with absolutely no hesitation, and Neon will go through up into the P2 spot then. Look at that gap on the timing gates, though. 9 seconds between Finn and P2. You want to have Finn's drugs? I need whatever he is smoking. Because holy crap. He's cooking. All on his own. He's going around the whole shot corner as P2 comes over the finish. That's wild. This early in a moto. 5 minutes into a moto. We've got nearly an 8-second gap being held. Ridiculous. Here, though, Sam coming out of seemingly nowhere. Haven't seen him all race so far, but he's climbed his way up through whatever early race incidents he may or may not have had. And is definitely in some serious contention now. Currently holding on for that P3 spot on the track. He's sitting in that podium position, and he wants more. You can see he's really, really starting to push that bike. Very, very smooth indeed. We got Neon here, finds his way ahead of Finn as Finn makes some kind of crucial error and mistake by the looks of things. Neon then finds his way through, but unfortunately he makes a mistake of his own. Disaster then for the JP Designs bike as he loses both P1 and 2 down to P3 then as the TCSC bikes lead the moto here. Both the KTMs having a very, very nice start indeed. That's exactly where they want to be finding themselves. Can they get the gap opened up now? That's the real question. Finn leads, Cam for P2, Neon for P3. Oh, Sam for P2, sorry. I don't know why I said Cam. I just saw the Am. I was like, yeah, that works. Neon has had disaster strike once again. Das and Splash will make their way through then. An easy pass for the Session MX bike and the Solitude Visuals one too. We'll check in with those guys out real quick because they look having a great battle. Das down the inside, Splash to the inside now of this right hand corner though. Makes his way through on the KTM. Das outdrives him through into this next inside corner. Just about grabs that hairpin right before the finish. And you can see the level of a road here. Marshall's game crash. No! Oh, disaster. Absolute disaster, Marshall. That is heartbreak right there. Mayhem, what's going on, boy? Splash versus Dasso. A great battle here going on between the fight for... Is this for P3? No. Well, yes. Yes, it is. Splash is P3. Ignore me. What up, though, Mayhem? How are you getting on, my man? But now these guys off to a very, very nice start here in the 250 class. And we've seen some pretty fantastic racing across the board here so far tonight. And it's nice that 250 is having just as intense fighting, you know? Maybe a little bit less intense, a couple more crashes here and there, and obviously it's a little bit harder to come back on a 250. And they're doing nicely. They're doing very nicely indeed. Down white versus Freitas seems to be a little bit of a Battioli going on. A little bit of a squeeze here from the try-hard KTM. Can he get a position done? Not quite. Down low tries to find his way past the OGR bike. It's going to be a tough little squeeze if he can pull that one off. Finn, though, still manages to crash into P2 by the looks of things. And Sam is leading the race. Very nice stuff then indeed for Sam on the TCSZ. God, that's really difficult to pronounce. God dang it. On the Swan Labs bike. That's such a mouthful. My goodness me. Maybe some fried chicken fries wouldn't race? Hell yeah. Or chicken fried rice even. Hell yeah, indeed. Finn then, trying to close up onto the back of his teammate here, contend for that P1 spot once again. We got Splash versus Neon in the battle for P2 between the JP Designs and the Solitude Visuals KTMs. Down the inside for both, or down the outside of both, rather, sorry. I thought Neon was setting up to duck down the inside there, but never mind. Down the start straight we go, and through that whole shot turn once again. Starting to get some serious road here on the track at this point in the moto. Splash runs it nice and tight, actually. Thought he was going to run it wide like Neon did there, but he's just making me eat my words every lap. Very nice stuff indeed. A little bit of a step off the track there. Could be risky. I'm not sure if people get penalties for that. I don't believe they do. I think it's a little bit more lax down in that particular section of the track. But I may be wrong. I may be wrong. Dan and HM seem to be having a nice little battle here. Swan Labs KTM versus the OJ bike. OJ Raceco bike. Looking nice and smooth. Finn is still holding on for the P2 spot. Splash versus Neon, though. The battle for P3 is continuing. Splash and on Solitude Visuals KTM will find his way through back up onto that podium position for the moment. 20 minutes on the clock then as Neon scrambles now to try and re-secure that podium position here before the end of the moto. Plenty of time to go, though, don't forget. And I'm sure we'll see some interesting things take place a little bit later on. Dan White here, starting to close in onto the back of Neon, trying to make a little cheeky positional move in the battle for P4. Potentially squeeze his way back up onto that podium here and get that podium box locked out for the TSCZ team. That would be very, very tasty indeed for them. I know they're having a fantastic night as a team, to be honest, which is always nice to see. You can see here Splash, oh no, Neon, sorry, currently fending off that P4 position. Splash still sitting in P3. And Dan is sitting P5 with the dream of the podium. Oh! A huge crash for Neon as it catches the front wheel on the inside bumps there in the corner. A very, very unfortunate situation for the JP Designs bike. Dan then will slide his way through, up and into P4. And now the climb to P3 begins. He's got a little bit of time, though, between himself and the Solitude bike. You can see that here. Just a few seconds, not a lot at all. Not even a few seconds. Maybe 1.5 seconds. Really not a lot between these guys here at the moment. Let's see if Dan can start to catch up onto the back of Splash. The Solitude bike, though, putting in a fantastic performance here tonight on the KTM. That's exactly what he wants to be doing. He's got to continue to defend that P3 position and indeed, obviously, attempt to climb up to the racing leaders. Very, very nicely done indeed, though, from Slash so far. Hopefully he keeps nice and consistent and the endurance doesn't wear him out. Neon then onto the back of Dan White. He's got a long way to go before he catches up with his competitor, though, for the moment. So we'll flick back to Dan, who is ahead of Splash in MP3. What? I don't even know what happened there, but he's found his way through into that P3 spot. Splash then can do not a lot, but watch him sail on through up onto that podium. The podium now then locked out by the TSCZ bikes. Those ones. These ones. And it looks like he doesn't have any penalties to worry about either as he climbs on through on the timing gates. Very nicely done indeed. Mooglobber with the 100 Bitterinos. Thank you very much, man. Hopefully you're having a nice night for yourself indeed. Finn then now finds his way up and through, I believe, into the racing lead just ahead of Sam, overtaking past his teammate then now. And a very nice performance indeed for himself. He's going to be looking to continue to be nice and smooth. He's had a little bit of trouble with consistency here tonight so far, at least at the start of his second moto. Fingers crossed that's gone now, and we can settle in for a very nice little race between these guys. These two at the front are putting in some serious pace though here for the 250 class. We'll be checking in with their lap times in a little while. For now though, Dan White holding that P3 spot is looking pretty comfortable as well here at the moment. Splash not too far behind here on the Solitude Visuals KTM, and Neon certainly not too far out of the equation just yet. Definitely still within contention distance, but there is only 17 minutes on the clock to try and make something stick. Really then having a nice time too. Very nicely done. Cloud here, the first non-KTM here at the front of the field in P8. Trying to climb his way in front of HM, I believe that's HM 702. It is indeed on the OJ Raceco KTM. Cloud then on the Normsco bike, trying to find his way through. Can he get it down the inside? Not quite. He's going to have to lock in then and settle in nicely for the Husqvarna. Always nice to see the Husky getting represented a little bit, you know. We like it. It's a good bike. It's a very pretty bike as well. Anyways, Back onto the swing of things. Looking very smooth here for Cloud, though. Very, very smooth indeed. Back up with the racing leaders, we have the gap between Sam and Finn. It says 2 seconds, it's roughly only 1. So I estimate roughly a second's worth of penalties here for Sam, potentially. Certainly not what he wants. Dan White here has got a pretty hefty gap to his teammates. He's got a little bit of a way to go if he wants to try and catch up with those guys and put in a bit of three-way contention for the lead. It'll be very, very difficult, though, if you can pull that off. A little bit deep on the landing there. Splash having a nice time here on the Solitude Visuals bike. Definitely starting to close back up here with himself and Dan. So they could be looking at a potential fight for these guys in the pretty near future. We may see a Solitude Visuals bike come back up onto that podium later tonight. Let's check back in with some other PPOs, shall we? Borealis having a great time as Lipasek passes down the inside. Lipo's very, very smooth here tonight. Hopefully he can get some pace sorted out. He's currently P11, finds his way into P10 past his teammate. And we'll see if he can squeeze something out of the bag here tonight. Have a little look through the field. We've got Dimitri cut across the track at the start of the field. He's currently holding on to P12. Not sure how I feel about that. We'll have to. I will be probably rewatching the race start after the stream because that was questionable at best. But anyways, Valentine's off to a little tougher bit of the race. Laurent Dumont again not off to the best of starts this season. He had a pretty decent start to the pre-season race last week, but unfortunately it's been tough since then. Reaperdoc, in the meantime, makes his way around the outside of Exhibit and up into the P18 position then. Exhibit on the X-Crew, Husqvarna has to try and defend, but can't find the opportunity just yet. We'll have a little check-in with them very, very shortly. Having a good battle here for now. Looks like Exhibit's made a bit of a case and is going to lose some time here to the dock. And Reaper then makes his way through on the Honda, holding on for a good position, but looking to try and climb more through the field. He was doing very, very well in the very early stages of the race, but caught up in a very, very disastrous crash early on and led him all the way down to the back of the field. So hopefully we see him climb up through a little bit further later through the night. For now, checking in with the lap times, EJ, why not? So then, for the 250 class here in Moto 2, don't forget, there's a lot of a road, so the lap times will be slower than they were in the first Moto. But for now, Finn is riding a 133.995, and Sam is running 134.370. Dan White running a 34.8 and Splash with a 35.4. Neon with a 34.1, so very, very promising for Neon. He could genuinely, potentially close up if he doesn't keep doing shit like that. He just needs to be able to settle in, get his head back screwed on, and get into the racing mindset. Game crash tank? Oh no. Definitely not ideal at all. Definitely not ideal at all. Redo versus Neon. Redo's actually making some serious pace here. He's running 37.0. So he's losing a fair bit of time there to the rest of the field, but he's made up a decent bit of time on this particular lap. Always very nice to see, and hopefully he can continue to try and get some good lap times on the board and just get ahead in this very, very difficult race. Very nice stuff, though. For now, Dan White is right on the back of Sam. Sam's had a huge, huge issue. Victor G on the Mostra KTM. Having some issues there in the background. Yeah, Sam's had a really, really tough time here in the P2 spot. He's lost a lot of time to Finn. 12.5 seconds to be precise. Absolutely ludicrous. But Sam having a very nice time indeed. Victor should be banned. What do you mean? The guy went off the track at the finish line. I don't know what you're talking about. Splash here, looking very smooth. Very nice stuff here for Sam as he keeps his way cruising through. He's holding on to that P2 spot on the track. Timing gates say otherwise, so I think he is sitting with that nasty 1 second penalty that we estimated earlier on. So definitely got to be careful there. CSCZ on top. Yeah, definitely doing well tonight for the team. Definitely doing well tonight for the team. Locking out that podium for the moment. Splash isn't too far behind. He's got 7 seconds, but that gap has been opening up a little bit every lap, so I'm sure we'll see that continue to do so, barring any major crashes between Sam and Dan. Very nice stuff indeed, though. Very nice stuff indeed. Checking back in with the riders, though. We've got Splash having a good time here on the Solitude Visuals KTM. You just 3 days on the game and the team's top on 250? Hell freaking yeah. That's what we like to hear. We will take it. We will take it. I was going to say, I knew it was a new team because it's only it's the first series I recognised it in, you know? Or saw it in, rather. I was like, huh, what team is that? Didn't realise who they were. And then they've been doing very well throughout the last couple of Super races, and obviously these last couple of MXGP races too, which is always nice to see from your team. Yeah, looking good though here for Neon as well. On the JP Designs bike, we've got Redo not too far off there as well. Could be looking at a potential podium climb a little later on if he can find a gap. XG there giving way to Redo, all good, lovely stuff. That's what we like to see. Yeah, Redo. I think it's Re, right? Not Ray. Anyways, Finn is keeping it schmoovin'. He's having a very, very nice time indeed on that big fat red plate bike. Take the M's out of the race? Will do, Tang, will do. You might have to remind me, but I will do. Sam versus Finn is a huge gap. 17 seconds now. And Dan is genuinely at risk of losing a position to Splash here. Splash is definitely starting to close into the background now. And put some pressure in to those podium 3. Interesting. Looks like we've got the lap down bike of Brad just in front of us. And then we've got to move on through the rest of the field. W Splash, there's Marshall. He's having a very nice race so far. Kept pretty consistent. A couple of minor mistakes, but everyone's been crashing. It is a very tough, very unforgiving circuit, especially with this much of road. It looks like, especially this inside. Look at that gnarly corner now. You're annoyed. Why are you annoyed, Marshall? Is it because of the old game crash? Slash lost roughly half a second in that lap, which is not ideal for the closing to the leaders. Lipo, though, having a nice little comeback through his race. He's up to P7 now after climbing his way through a lot of the field. Him and HM both has been putting in some fantastic work here towards the end of the race. You don't think your game has ever crashed? Mine doesn't crash very often, and when it does, it's very, very frustrating. But it's like once every couple of months my game will crash, you know? Crashed earlier when I was trying to join the 450 race. Just because, why not? I guess it just hadn't crashed in a little while, so it's like, screw it, I'll have a bonk. Sam v Dan, very, very tight on the timing gates, but unfortunately the gap seems to be rather large. I believe Dan's holding on to some pretty nasty penalties. Or no, wait, the other way. I think Sam is holding on to some pretty nasty penalties. Roughly 2 seconds, I'd have to say, if I had to guess. Yeah, roughly 2 seconds of penalties now, which is not ideal at all. Finn, though, finds his way around the lapping bike of Reaper Doc. An unfortunate situation for the old Docky Walkie, but life is a bitch. Finn then will go on through and take the, or continue to hold on to the P1 spot rather. He's not taking any position. He's just chilling. 21 seconds, though, ahead of anyone else in the field. He's absolutely blistering around this track here tonight. Dan White makes his way up through into P2, according to the timing gates, and that's due to Sam's penalties that we were talking about just on the previous lap. Very, very difficult situation for both of these riders now, as they start to have a bit of a teammate scrap. Splash is really, really close now, though, as well. He can almost smell the podium. Trying to get that big old shiny KTM in there. What's he got for us tonight, eh? It's a shame I don't have Splash's gear. That'd be the comeback story of a lifetime. There we are, though. Neon leading a little bit of a three-way pack. I believe it contains 1, if not 2, lap down bikes. Just the one. It looks like Redo versus Neon is for position. So they're both past the blue flag bike, which is always lovely to see. Splash is your champion, Joseph. Hell yeah, he's having a nice time here tonight, that's for sure. Neon's had a huge washout at the front. Disaster strikes then for the JP Designs KTM. Exactly not what he wanted to happen there. Redo will go through on the OGR bike, and Brad will unlap himself temporarily here, but he gives way to the faster bike ultimately, which is exactly what we want to be seeing from our blue flag riders. Oh, excuse me. Deary me, lads. Oh, freaking righty then. Looking very, very smooth here for Finn. We've had a huge crash from Sam. He's lost 2 positions, both to Dan White and Splash. Splash then back up on the podium with 7 minutes to go on the clock. It is anyone's guess what's going to happen here to the end of the moto. Marshall's got splashed for P2. It could genuinely happen here. Dan White holds the position for the moment here on the number 58 KTM. Can he defend from the Solitude Visuals one, though? It's going to be very, very difficult here. Splash on the 817 bike, trying to close his way in. You can see he's not letting that gap slip anytime soon. Dan White staying as low as possible. Splash with the scrub, lands a little bit deep, but keeps good speed regardless. Over this next table we go then, through the JVDL Designs jump. And it looks like Dan's opened up a reasonable bit of a gap here between himself and Splash. Dan, though, sitting on a nasty 1 second penalty. And Splash could be looking at a P2 position here on the board due to technicality. Of course, we want it to be seen on track as well. That's how you know you've really got that position done. And nobody can argue about it, you know. Sounds for his team name wrong? Deary me. Oh yeah, he's TCSC. And these ones, the other ones are TSCZ. That's why I've been getting confused. That's why I've been getting confused as to whether it's TC and TS. Because they're mixed up on the different riders. God dang it. Anyways. Dan White still holds the position for now. He's definitely come a long way over the last year or so in his MX Bikes journey. We've got Splash certainly not too far behind. Oh no, hold on Splash. He's held on to the bike, but he has lost P3. A disaster then for the Solitude Visuals bike, but thankfully not an unrecoverable one. Sam slides his way back down through then on the KTM for their podium position once again here. With 5.5 minutes on the clock, coming into the next lap. And Splash is hot on his heels. Look at this battle between these guys here. Splash versus Sam. Phenomenal stuff between these guys. Keeping very, very tight with each other. Keeping different lines to try and verify it. Try and change things up a little bit, you know. Keep the variety in the mix. Keep the opponent guessing. And it's looking very smooth for both riders here. Splash down to the inside. Just trying to find an opportunity. Trying to find a little bit on the track where he can gain some time. That's what you're seeing here with the different line choices. It's just trying to find those extra little bits of time on the lap that will allow you to close up with the bike in front of you. Best way to do that, analyze the bike's line in front and compare a different line with what they're doing and see how much time you gain. But yeah, it's exactly what Splash is doing at the moment, just testing out those different lines. He's lost a little bit of time over the last couple of test lines, but now he knows that for the next lap and he can apply that to the rest of his moto. We'll see if he can make something come out of it. Sam here still nursing that penalty. Looks like it could be 2 seconds, which would be very, very unfortunate. It may only be the one though. I think, no, I'm lying. It's only the 1 second, I believe. Anyway, Splash is certainly close enough to try and make his move for that podium position on the track here shortly. We've still got 4 minutes on the clock. And he's currently there by the technicality of the timing gates. Dimitri, after that very, very questionable race start, has made his way up into P7. He's off to a pretty decent rest of his moto then by the looks of things. We'll definitely be checking in with the start of that race again though, because like I say, that was questionable. Splash then onto the back of Sam, still trying to make this position work, still can't find an opportunity, and is still struggling to get something through. We've also got Sam closing in onto the back of Dan White here, so we could be looking at a change of hands for the P2 position. And if the teammates make a huge mistake and collide with each other, obviously not the optimal strat, so let's not be doing that. But if they were to do that and lose some time together, we could be looking at Splash all the way up to P2 here. If he stays close enough, he's got to try and put some pressure here onto the back of these two TSCZ bikes though. And it's going to be very, very difficult indeed. Very, very difficult indeed. We'll check in with Redu versus Brovi. A fantastic little battle going on for the spot for P5, I believe. Brovi then finds his way down the inside, makes his way through, and is coming to try and find the inside of Dimitri. It looks like Dimitri's sitting on some incredibly dark penalties here. Jesus, he must be on 6, 7 seconds. Not good at all here for the Luna KTM. Yeah, certainly some questionable moments for him in the race, that's for sure. I'll be doing some investigating afterwards. For the moment, let me have a drink, and then Sam's going to be closing right into the back of Dan. Sam and Dan then. The fight between the one-syllable names. Can they get their way through the field? Over the rolly hill we go. Now the step-up table over the cross-jump, and now the JVDL Designs long table here into the next right-hand turn. Looking very nice and smooth for Dan at the moment. We got Sam closing up though. Could be trying to take that P2 position away from his teammate. Can't quite find the opportunity just yet. Checking in with Splash, you can see he's lost a little bit of time to them both, but it's still close enough to punish any major mistakes that either rider may or may not have. Dan versus Sam then. Definitely the battle to watch. Down the inside goes Dan and Sam, and through into P2. On the track he goes. Down then down to the P3 spot, and at risk of losing a position to Splash here after a crash. No! Disaster then for Dan, and Splash will go through up into P3. A fantastic seizure of the opportunity, seizure of the moment, whatever you want to call it. Splash is going to be very, very happy with that one. Excuse me, dying. My throat's like suddenly dry. Alrighty, I've had a bit of a cough, had a bit of a drink. Hopefully that stabilised us for the rest of the moto. Deary me, though, we've had some fantastic stuff going here tonight. Splash here is sitting P2 on the timing gates, P3 on the track. Exactly where he wants to be. Well, barring the 34-second gap that everyone else has to fin, because my goodness me, this man doesn't know how to go slowly. He's just cruising. He is just cruising at this point. Best lap time at 1:33.837. Wild. What do we got? What do we got? What language is this song in? Dimitri versus Redo having a nice little battle between each other here. The OJR bike trying to close in to the back of the Luna Racing KTM. Will it be enough? That is the real question here as Redo tries to make some kind of position work. It's going to be very, very difficult between them here at the moment. Looks like Dimitri's holding on to a decent bit of defensive line. Really trying to make something work here shortly. We'll check back in with the Splash down and Sam fight. What's going on here? I believe Splash is very, very close to the back of Sam now. And looking to potentially get a cheeky little position here. Dan still closing on to the back of Splash once again. Trying to make that position work again for the TSCZ bike. It's going to be very, very difficult for Dan though to pull it off. And Splash will go on to the defensive for the moment. For the last couple of laps. And of course, scrambling as hard as we can here to try and catch up with that P2 bike. He can see those timing gates. He knows that by technicality he's P2. He just has to stay close enough. But of course, anyone that has even a milliliter of racing in their blood knows that you need to get it done on track as well, just to feel good about yourself. The technicality is always nice, but getting it done on track is where the dreams are made, you know. Very, very rough section there for Splash. He manages to hold on to the Solitude Visuals KTM though. Dan getting a very nice pop around the outside of the track there. Closing the gap up between himself and the Solitude KTM. Splash though putting some serious pace here onto the back of Sam. Could be getting a positional move here happening in the near future. Dan trying to make something stick here on the KTM as well. Can't quite get an opportunity to happen just yet. A little bit of a flexi jump there from Splash, and he almost loses the bike. Thankfully holds on to it and keeps the rubber side down and the shiny side up. And it keeps it nice and scrubby as well there on that Solitude bike. Dan though saw the mistake, seen that slight little case, and he's all over him now. Crosses over to the inside. What a beautiful line there from the TSCZ bike. And Dan is really, really hot on his heels now. Some serious pressure mounting then onto the back of the Solitude Visuals KTM. And Splash can't do much, but just try and defend the position for now. Down the inside he goes. Gets that position secure. Dan though holding some really serious pace onto the back of him now. Onto our final lap we go with the racing leader. And obviously the rest of the track too. Very, very exciting stuff indeed. Okay, this isn't your fucking day. It happens, yeah, that happens, bro. Can't win them all, though. Can't win them all. Regardless, though, we're having a pretty nice little bit of moto racing here at the moment between Splash and Dan. Very, very nice stuff indeed. Dan could be trying to claw that position back for the podium on the track. Like we say, he probably won't get it due to technicality and penalty points, but he's wanting to do it on the track, and that's where it feels the best to get it done. Headset disconnected through mid-quality, through Adam's quality, so you probably won't qualify. Oh, that sucks, man. That sucks. Liebset making moves right now. He is. He's been doing pretty well throughout the majority of the moto. We're checking with him quickly. Looks like he's got a pretty decent bit of breathing room for now. He's found his way clear of HM for the first time this moto. Both Lipo and HM have made their way up from approximately P14, 15-ish, all the way up to P7 and 8 respectfully. And Finn, across the line, nearly 40 seconds ahead of anyone else on the track, comes P1 on the board. Splash then. Will he take the P2 spot? Can he stay close enough to Sam and Dan? Sam here gets his way past Reaperdoc to get the Honda lap down. Across the Valor double we come then for Sam. He's looking pretty smooth for the moment. Getting very, very close to the end of our lap though here now. Believe Sam's holding the P2 on the track, but he is going to lose it to Splash here due to those penalties. Hang on, no, wait, Splash has had a mistake. We might be lying. Sam then, P2 on the track and on the board for the moment. Splash will be taking P3 for the Solitude Visuals team. A fantastic move for himself. Unfortunately, it looks like he may have picked up a penalty or two in that previous lap, in that final 2 laps or so. And that's led him to lose the gap between himself and Sam. A fantastic battle, though, for himself, and gets his way all the way up onto that podium, exactly where he wants to be. Lipo then, after a little bit of a tough start to his race, has climbed away through the field and up to P7 on the AEO FXR KTM. A fantastic night for him as well then. Redo just about holding onto his bike there around that final turn. A very nice finish to his moto as well, up in P10. I appreciate you, young Joseph. Well, for those of you that want to stay, we will be doing the amateur race shortly after this one. But for those of you that don't, I do appreciate you stopping by for the pro race events. It's a very, very nice time as always. Super duper fun to commentate these races. I absolutely love doing it. And I'm very grateful that the aerial guys host it and let me have a go at talking, you know. And obviously for JV, big ups to JV for these tracks. Absolutely phenomenal as always. And it ran beautifully. Regardless, so Finn in the top spot, Cam for P2, and we have Sam for P2, then we have Splash for P3, Dan White for P4, Robbie for P5, Dimitri for P6, Lipo for P7, HM for P8, Leon for P9, and Redu for P10 here in the second moto tonight. Checking in with those fastest laps real quick. We had Finn, fastest man on the field. Who would have guessed there? 0.2 of a mile an hour faster than the second fastest on the field there, with a 33.837 in the second moto.